हेलो स्टूडेंट्स, ਅੱਜ ਦੀ ਕਲਾਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਸਵਾਗਤ ਹੈ। ਅੱਜ ਅਸੀਂ ਮਸਲਸ ਅਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਮੂਵਮੈਂਟਸ ਬਾਰੇ ਜਾਣਾਂਗੇ। ਮੂਵਮੈਂਟ ਸਾਰੇ ਲਿਵਿੰਗ ਆਰਗੇਨਿਜ਼ਮਸ ਦਾ ਇੱਕ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਮਹੱਤਵਪੂਰਨ ਫੀਚਰ ਹੈ। All living organisms show movement of one kind or another. All living organisms have some set of organs which help them to move. Such voluntary movement ਜਿਸ ਨਾਲ organisms ਆਪਣੀ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ ਬਦਲ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਹਨ ਨੂੰ locomotion ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹਨ। With this type of movement, organisms are able to displace themselves from one place to another. When this movement results in change in place of the organism, the term is used as locomotion. The word locomotion means moving from place to place. It comes from two Latin words, locus meaning place and moto meaning movement. Animals can move from place to place in water, in air, or on land using coordination of different organs. Let us observe locomotion in different organisms. This is Paramecium. Cilia helps in locomotion as well as pushing its food in cytopharynx. Hydra has strong tentacles, which are used for capturing its prey. These tentacles are also used for locomotion. Sea animals move through water by showing slow movements like gliding along the bottom,
as snails do.
Turtles move by paddling. You know how
Jellyfish moves.
they move by some sort of jet propulsion. Most land animals move from place to place with the help of appendages. In an insect, the body must be carefully balanced so its legs arise from the middle part of the body. As an insect moves, it lifts only 2 to 3 legs at a time because the other remaining legs are used for support. So students, आओ movement ਅਤੇ locomotion ਵਿੱਚ relation ਨੂੰ ਸਮਝ ਲਈਏ। ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਧਿਆਨ ਨਾਲ ਸੋਚੋ ਤਾਂ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗੇਗਾ ਕਿ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ locomotions ਵਿੱਚ movement ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ, ਪਰ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ movements ਵਿੱਚ locomotion ਹੋਵੇ ਇਹ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ। ਜਿਵੇਂ ਕਿ ਸਾਡੇ ਸਰੀਰ ਦੇ ਅੰਦਰੂਨੀ ਹਿੱਸਿਆਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਕੁਝ ਮੂਵਮੈਂਟਸ ਚਲਦੀਆਂ ਰਹਿੰਦੀਆਂ ਹਨ, ਪਰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਕਾਰਨ ਲੋਕੋਮੋਸ਼ਨ ਤਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦੀ। ਲੋਕੋਮੋਸ਼ਨ ਲਈ ਤਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਲੋਅਰ ਲਿੰਬਸ ਦੀ ਵਰਤੋਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਜਨਰਲੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਲੋਕੋਮੋਸ਼ਨ ਭੋਜਨ ਇਕੱਠਾ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ, ਸ਼ੈਲਟਰ ਲਈ, ਅਨਫੇਵਰੇਬਲ ਕੰਡੀਸ਼ਨਸ ਔਰ ਐਨੀਮੀਜ਼ ਤੋਂ ਬਚਣ ਲਈ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਕੀ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਮੂਵਮੈਂਟਸ ਨੂੰ ਸਟੱਡੀ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ ਇੱਕ ਬਹੁਤ ਚੰਗਾ ਐਗਜ਼ਾਮਪਲ ਮਨੁੱਖੀ ਸਰੀਰ ਹੈ, ਜਿਵੇਂ ਅਮੀਬੋਇਡ ਮੂਵਮੈਂਟਸ ਆਫ
Macrophage.
ciliary movement in our tubular organs like trachea and food pipe, muscular movements of our limbs, jaws and tongue, etc. ਚਲੋ ਵਿਜ਼ੂਅਲ ਰਾਹੀਂ ਟਾਈਪਸ ਆਫ ਮੂਵਮੈਂਟਸ ਨੂੰ ਥੋੜਾ ਹੋਰ ਸਮਝ ਲਓ। Types of movements. Cells of the human body exhibit 3 main types of movements, namely amoeboid, ciliary, and muscular. Some specialized cells in our body, like macrophages in blood, exhibit amoeboid movements. It is made possible by pseudopodia formed by streaming of protoplasm, as it happens in amoeba. Ciliary movements occur in most of our internal tubular organs, which are lined by ciliated epithelium. The coordinated movements of cilia in the trachea help us in removing dust particles and some of the foreign substances inhaled along with the atmospheric air. Passage of ovum through the female reproductive tract is also facilitated by the ciliary movements. Next is muscular movement. The body's involuntary muscles are involved in movement of many internal organs where the movement is beyond our control. Voluntary muscles help in movement of a part or the complete body. They are attached to the skeleton and can be controlled by our nervous system as per our need.
ਅਸੀਂ ਕਹਿ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ locomotion takes place as a result of a perfect coordination between muscular, skeletal and neural system. ਕੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜਾਣਦੇ ਹੋ ਕਿ around 600 active muscles allow you to do everything from smiling to eating, walking, etc. Work of these muscles is to contract and relax based on signals from the brain. Muscles have special properties like excitability, means they respond to stimuli, example, nervous impulses. Contractility means they are able to shorten in length. Extensibility means they can be stretched when pulled. Elasticity means muscles have got a tendency to return to original shape and length after contraction or extension. Muscles are attached to the bones in your body to allow visible movement. But there are internal muscles that work to pump blood, release urine, and many other important tasks in our body. The muscular system contributes to approximately 40% of the body's overall weight of an individual. Muscles are classified both functionally as either voluntary or involuntary and structurally as either striated or smooth. From this, there emerges three types of muscles: skeletal muscles, visceral muscles, and cardiac muscles. Let us see how each type of these muscles look and where they are present.
Skeletal muscles. Skeletal muscle tissue is named for its location, attached to bones. Its fibers contain alternating light and dark bands which form striations that are perpendicular to the long axis of the fibers. Skeletal muscle tissue can be made to contract or relax by conscious control, means they are voluntary. Visceral or smooth muscles. Smooth muscle tissue is located in the walls of hollow internal structures such as blood vessels, parts of alimentary canal like stomach, small and large intestine, and urinary bladder. Smooth muscle fibers are usually involuntary, means not under conscious control. This is the reason they are known as involuntary muscles. They are non-striated, means they are smooth, do not have dark and light bands. You have seen food moving with a particular kind of movement while passing through food pipe. This movement takes place because of presence of these smooth muscles. Cardiac muscles. Cardiac muscles as evident from the name itself, form a major part of the wall of the heart. Like skeletal muscle tissue, it is striated, means the muscle fibers contain alternating light and dark bands, but unlike skeletal muscle tissue, its contraction is not under conscious control, means they are involuntary in action and also they are branched.
Students, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜਾਣਦੇ ਹੋ ਕਿ skeletal muscles ਸਾਡੇ ਸਰੀਰ ਦੁਆਰਾ ਕੀਤੀਆਂ ਗਈਆਂ ਮੂਵਮੈਂਟਸ ਅਤੇ ਲੋਕੋਮੋਸ਼ਨ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਰਿਸਪੌਂਸਿਬਲ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਹਨ। ਇਹ ਮਸਲਸ ਹੱਡੀਆਂ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਹਨ ਅਤੇ ਮਸਲਸ make up about 50% of our body weight. When these muscles contract or shorten, our bone moves. Muscles are arranged in layers over the bones. Skeletal muscles vary in different sizes and shapes, as well as the arrangement of the muscle fibers. They may be broad or narrow, irrespective of their size. Each skeletal muscle is composed of many muscle fibers that are wrapped and bundled together and covered by connective tissue. ਚਲੋ ਵੇਖੀਏ ਕਿ ਜਦੋਂ ਇੱਕ ਮਸਲ ਨੂੰ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਦੀ ਕੱਟੀਏ ਤਾਂ ਕਿਹੋ ਜਿਹਾ ਸਟਰਕਚਰ ਨਜ਼ਰ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਹੈ।
This is a skeletal muscle. Skeletal muscles have a tissue sheath on the outer side, which is known as epimysium. A transverse section shows a number of bundles. These bundles are known as fasciculi. Each fasciculus is surrounded by connective tissue known as perimysium. This perimysium provides a covering over a fasciculus. Here you can see that within each fasciculus, a large number of muscle fibers are present. Each fiber is surrounded by a connective tissue cover known as endomysium. Each skeletal muscle fiber is a single cylindrical muscle cell. Each muscle fiber is cylindrical and uniform in diameter. A thin plasma membrane known as
sarcolemma
surrounds this cylindrical fiber. This fiber is filled with a fluid, sarcoplasm, which is multinucleated. The nuclei of muscle cells are located at the edges of the diameter of the fiber, adjacent to the
sarcolemma.
Sarcoplasmic reticulum is present in muscle fibers or cells and extends throughout the sarcoplasm of the cell. The function of the sarcoplasmic reticulum is to store calcium ions, which are necessary for muscle contraction. Within each muscle cell, a large number of parallelly arranged filaments known as myofilaments or myofibrils are present. The filaments are organized into repeated subunits along the length of the myofibril. These subunits are called sarcomeres.
Structure of a muscle cell. ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵੇਖਿਆ ਕਿ
Anatomy of a muscle fiber
is very similar to any other cell, but they are much larger and specialized to handle movements of the muscles. ਬਾਕੀ ਸੈੱਲਾਂ ਦੀ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਵੀ fat, glycogen ਅਤੇ mitochondria present ਹੁੰਦੇ ਹਨ. ਇੱਕ ਹੋਰ ਬਹੁਤ important pigment, myoglobin, is also present in the sarcoplasm of these cells. This is a reddish pigment that not only results in the distinctive color of skeletal muscle but also stores oxygen until it is required by the mitochondria for the production of ATP. Each myofibril is a complete system in itself. As such, It requires subsystems for metabolism, excitation and contraction. ਤੁਸੀਂ sarcomere ਨੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਸਮਝ ਹੀ ਗਏ ਹੋ। ਤੁਸੀਂ visuals ਵਿੱਚ ਵੇਖਿਆ ਕਿ sarcomeric subunits of one myofibril are in nearly perfect alignment with those of the myofibrils next to it. This alignment gives rise to certain optical properties which cause the cell to appear striped or striated. In smooth muscle cells, this alignment is absent. Hence, there are no apparent striations and the cells appear smooth. ਚਲੋ ਵੇਖੀਏ ਉਹ ਕਿਹੜੇ components ਹਨ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਇਹ muscle fibers striped ਭਾਵ striated ਨਜ਼ਰ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਹਨ।
Each myofibril consists of two types of protein filaments called thick filaments and thin filaments. Here you can see the thick filaments and the thin filaments within myofibrils overlap in a structured way, forming one sarcomere. This Z line separates each sarcomere. Z is taken from German word zwischen, जिसका मतलब है between. The area between two Z lines is further divided into some light and dark bands. The light bands are known as I bands or isotropic bands, which appear lighter because this area mainly contains the thin actin filaments. Actin is a protein molecule whose smaller diameter allows the passage of light between them, thus appearing light. The darker area is known as A band or anisotropic band, which contains mostly myosin filaments whose larger diameter restricts the passage of light. There is another zone known as H zone. The H zone or Henson zone is at the center of the A band of each sarcomere. This is the region in which there are only thick filaments and no thin filaments. The H zone is the central part of thick filament, not overlapped by thin filaments. The thick filaments of A band are held together by another fibrous membrane known as M line. It is region where adjacent myosin filaments anchor to each other.
ਅਸੀਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਇਨ੍ਹਾਂ bands ਲਈ ਦੋ words use ਕੀਤੇ, isotropic and
anisotropic.
Isotropic for I bands and
Anisotropic
for A bands. These terms are referred to the optical properties of living muscle as demonstrated with polarized light microscopy. When the properties of a material vary with different crystallographic orientations, the material is said to be
anisotropic.
Alternately, when the properties of a material are the same in all directions, the material is said to be isotropic. ਅੱਜ ਅਸੀਂ ਇੱਕ ਮਸਲ ਫਾਈਬਰ ਦੇ ਸਟਰਕਚਰ ਤੋਂ ਇਲਾਵਾ ਮਸਲਸ ਦੀ ਟਾਈਪਸ ਅਤੇ ਇਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀ ਮੂਵਮੈਂਟਸ ਬਾਰੇ ਕਾਫੀ ਕੁਝ ਸਿੱਖ ਲਿਆ ਹੈ। Let us revise structure and types of a muscle fiber once again. ਤੁਸੀਂ ਅੱਜ ਸਿੱਖਿਆ ਕਿ every physical activity that a person does requires the coordinated movement of many muscles and many systems.
The anatomy of a muscle fiber
is very similar to any other cell, but they are much larger and specialized to handle periods of prolonged activity. Each muscle fiber is cylindrical, uniform in diameter and surrounded by a thin plasma membrane known as sarcolemma. This fiber is filled with a fluid, sarcoplasm, which is multinucleated. Each individual fiber which is surrounded by sarcolemma can be divided into hundreds or even thousands of myofibrils. The filaments are organized into repeated subunits along the length of a myofibril. These subunits are called sarcomeres. Each myofibril consists of two types of protein filaments called thick filaments and thin filaments. The light bands are known as I bands, which appear lighter because this area mainly contains the thin actin filaments, and this darker area is known as A band, which contains mostly myosin filaments. Near the center of each I bands is a thin dark line called the Z line. The Z line is where adjacent sarcomeres come together and the thin myofilaments of adjacent sarcomeres overlap slightly. Thus, a sarcomere can be defined as the area between Z lines. Here you can see that thick filaments and the thin filaments within myofibrils overlap in a structured way, forming one sarcomere. The thick filaments of A band are held together by another fibrous membrane known as M line. It is a region where adjacent myosin filaments anchor on to each other. There is another zone known as edge zone. The edge zone is at the center of the A band of each sarcomere. The sarcomere is the smallest contractile unit in the myofibril. Thus, a myofibril has alternating light and dark areas because each consists of many sarcomeres lined up end to end. This is why skeletal muscle is called striated muscle. Hundreds of muscle fibers are grouped together in bundles known as fascicles, and these bundles are held together by a connective tissue called Paramecium. A muscle like the biceps might be made up of a couple of fascicles. Inside of the fascicle, every muscle fiber is held together by a connective tissue known as the endomysium. स्ट्रक्चर तो पहला असी टाइप्स ऑफ मसल्स बारे पढ़िया जो कि इस तरह सी skeletal muscles are attached to bones and helps in movement of bones. They are also called striated muscles because of its striped appearance due to the presence of dark and light bands. Because movement of these muscles is within our control, so they are voluntary in nature. अगली टाइप सी visceral muscles ਦੀ जिन्हां ਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ smooth muscles ਵੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ. Smooth ਇਸ ਲਈ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਲਾਈਟ ਅਤੇ ਡਾਰਕ ਬੈਂਡਸ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਅਤੇ ਮਾਈਕਰੋਸਕੋਪ ਹੇਠਾਂ ਇਹ ਸਮੂਥ ਨਜ਼ਰ ਆਉਂਦੀਆਂ ਹਨ. They cause involuntary movements in our body as they are present in the walls of hollow internal structures like blood vessels, intestine and urinary bladder. Muscles ਦੀ ਤੀਜੀ ਟਾਈਪ ਹੈ cardiac muscles, ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਸਾਡੇ ਹਾਰਟ ਦੀ ਵਾਲ ਬਣੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ. ਇਹ ਤਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਜਾਣਦੇ ਹੀ ਹੋ ਕਿ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਮਸਲਸ ਦਾ ਫੰਕਸ਼ਨ ਵੀ ਇਨਵੋਲੰਟਰੀ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ. ਚਲੋ ਹੁਣ ਕੁਝ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਆਨਸਰਸ ਰਾਹੀਂ ਕਨਸੈਪਟ ਨੂੰ ਥੋੜਾ ਹੋਰ ਪੱਕਾ ਕਰ ਲਈਏ. ਫਰਸਟ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ, ਮਸਲ ਦੀ ਇੱਕ ਪ੍ਰੋਪਰਟੀ ਹੈ ਇਲਾਸਟਿਸਿਟੀ. ਇਸ ਤੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੀ ਸਮਝਦੇ ਹੋ? Answer. Muscles have elastic tendency, means muscles have got a tendency to return to original shape and length after contraction or relaxation. ਜਿਵੇਂ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਹੱਥ ਅੱਗੇ ਵਧਾ ਕੇ ਕੋਈ ਆਬਜੈਕਟ ਚੁੱਕਦੇ ਹੋ ਅਤੇ ਫਿਰ ਹੱਥ ਨੂੰ ਵਾਪਸ ਖਿੱਚ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਹੋ। ਨੈਕਸਟ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ, ਸਾਰਕੋਪਲਾਜ਼ਮਿਕ ਰੈਟੀਕੂਲਮ ਦਾ ਇੱਕ ਇੰਪੋਰਟੈਂਟ ਫੰਕਸ਼ਨ ਦੱਸੋ ਜੋ ਕਿ ਡਾਇਰੈਕਟਲੀ ਮਸਲ ਦੀ ਫੰਕਸ਼ਨਿੰਗ ਲਈ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਹੈ। ਆਨਸਰ, The function of the sarcoplasmic reticulum is to store calcium ions which are necessary for muscle contraction. The next question is, ਸਾਡੇ ਸਰੀਰ ਦੇ ਕੁਝ ਹਿੱਸੇ ਦੱਸੋ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ visceral or smooth muscles ਹੁੰਦੇ ਹਨ। Answer, the walls of hollow internal structures such as blood vessels, parts of alimentary canal like stomach, small and large intestine, and urinary bladder are made up of smooth muscle fibers. चलो हुन कुछ objective type questions नाल practice करिए। Question, which type of movement is shown by paramecium? The options are amoeboid, ciliary, flagellar or muscular. Answer, type of movement shown by paramecium is of ciliary type because it takes place with the help of cilia. Next question, which of the following can be taken as a character of skeletal muscle fiber? The options are excitability, extensibility, contractibility or all of these. Answer, of course, all of these. The next question is, each fasciculus of skeletal muscle fiber is surrounded by a layer of tissue. This layer is known as epimysium, perimysium, endomysium or sarcolemma. Answer, each fasciculus of skeletal muscle fiber is surrounded by connective tissue known as perimysium. This perimysium almost provides a covering over a fasciculus. Next question, select the true statement. First option, A band is present in the middle of sarcomere. Second, edge zone is present in the middle of A band. Third, M line is present in the middle of edge zone. Fourth, all of these. Answer, yes, all of these. The first three options are true. Just observe them in this image. My next question is, how many actin filaments surround one myosin filament in the myofibril of skeletal muscle fiber? 2, 4, 6 or 8? Answer, one myosin filament in the myofibril of skeletal muscle fiber is surrounded by 6 actin filaments. Hope I have made a successful attempt to clear all concepts regarding types of muscles, types of movements shown by these muscles, and structure of a muscle fiber in detail. Thanks for your cooperation and attention. Looking forward to the next class. See you then. Thanks.